Hey everybody, we are here with the Pyro Weapons Guide, and this is I'm just gonna go with my hats. This is my favorite hats. My favorite hat setup. I look like some sort of brain-controlled office man. I don't know. Anyways, so if in case you didn't know by the name and for other stuff, the Pyro lights people on fire, and so its primary weapon is a flamethrower. You have the regular flamethrower, which is a flamethrower. I don't really know what else to say about that. It's you hold down left click and it shoots flames out. Okay. And then basing it off other things, I guess probably the biggest deal that this doesn't really tell you is you have a thing called the airblast, which if you right click with the flamethrower, it releases like a puff of air. With the flamethrower, it takes 20 ammo. You can do it every like second or something, but it releases a puff of air. It reflects projectiles, not including needles, but it'll like reflect grenades, stickies, rockets, arrows. It'll reflect all of that wherever you're pointing, wherever you're aiming, if you airblast at the right time. So it's really good for that. Airblast also extinguishes fire that is on your teammates. So if your teammates are on fire, you can airblast them to put the fire out. And another really good thing is you can just airblast enemies. And if you just airblast an enemy, they just go like flying away. It just pushes them away, which is really good for a number of reasons. You can push them in the corners so they can't move. A really good thing is you can actually Pyro is probably one of the best classes to take care of Ubers, because a Pyro can air blast an Uber away, because the Uber does not stop the air blast. So you can just keep air blasting the Uber away from where they want to go, which is really good. I guess we'll go to the back burner because it's pretty simple. Basically, you gain 10% damage just in general, and then you gain crits if you flame people with like in their back. That's why it's called the back burner. Crits with this do a devastating amount of damage. I mean, they are just do tons of crits. The crit, because it already does 10% damage more, so that's nice, even if you're only talking from the front. The downside is it costs 50 ammo per air blast instead of 20. Now that makes the air blast a lot less spammable. This is the only viable flamethrower, I would say, that you could maybe get away with using the Manmelter with. And I'll talk about the Manmelter, but I'm not going to be using it because in general it's a piece of crap. But yeah, so I mean that's the back burner for you. We have the Degreaser, which is the best one, I think, by far, and I think almost everybody who is experienced in the game will agree with me. You gain 65% faster weapon switch, and you switch weapons hella fast with this, which is amazingly good, and you'll see that in the video. I'm not really going to go over it too much now, but you also, the only downside is the flamethrower, if you light people on fire, they take afterburn damage, even if you're not flaming them. Like every second or so, they'll take 3 damage. And it'll eventually go out, and they lose the fire effect if they're getting healed by a medic or a dispenser for a little while, and they also lose the like afterburn effect if they pick up a health kit. Anything that heals some health. So you have 25% damage penalty, which basically lowers it to like 2 damage a second instead of 3. So that kind of sucks, but I think the fast weapon switch more than makes up for it. It also has the air blast, same as the flamethrower, 20 whatever. It's also part of the gas attendant, the gas jockey's gear. If you're using the power jack with this and if you have the hat, you move faster, but you take 10% more bullet damage. I don't think that's worth it necessarily, because I mean I don't really like the power jack besides, and you have to have the hat, but you don't necessarily need that movement speed. I mean, it can help you catch the medics, and you can maybe kill scouts more with it, but I mean, a lot of the times you don't need it, and the 10% bullet vulnerability is actually pretty huge, because if you're good with the air blast, the only thing that's going to hurt you is bullets. So it's like kind of exacerbating your one weakness if you're actually really good at Pyro. So Pyro has a shotgun, same as the soldier, which we just went over. So that's the shotgun. Also can use reserve shooter, which is the same as the soldier. I think the reserve shooter is a little bit more viable on the Pyro, simply because it's hard. The problem it has with the soldier is the soldier, once he runs out of rockets and switches to reserve shooter, he can't really do that much. Once the reserve shooter runs out of ammo, he has to reload. Whereas if the Pyro has the reserve shooter, his primary doesn't have to reload. It just has straight 200 ammo, so you can just keep flaming. So it's like you can switch to reserve shooter, shoot your 3 shots, and immediately switch to your primary and start flaming people. So, I mean, you don't really have to worry about the ability of not being able to do anything. Because if somebody's up in your face, you can just whip out the flamethrower at any moment, and it's even faster to flip it out with the reserve shooter, because, you know, it has 15% faster weapon switch. So if you use even if you're using a regular flamethrower, it can be really good. But using the Degreaser with this, it does stack. I'm not sure. I don't know if it's additive or multiplicative, but it does stack, and you can switch really freaking fast. And so it's just absurd. And another good thing is it mini crits airborne targets. So it's a lot easier to do it with the Pyro because all you have to do is airblast somebody into the air and then hit them with this, and it does a lot of damage. A similar thing you can do is with the flare gun. The flare gun does probably like 30 damage when you hit somebody, but it puts the afterburn effect on them, so they actually take burn damage. And it also crits people who are already on fire for 90 damage. So one good thing you can do is you can quick flame somebody, air blast them, and then when they're in air, they don't have as much mobility, and you can hit them with a flare in midair for like 90 damage, and that's going to kill a lot of people. Most 125 HP classes will die just about instantly from that, so that's pretty good. The only other one is the detonator, which is like the flare gun. It does less damage, but you can right click and it will detonate it, and so you can set people on fire in an area, or so you don't have to like directly hit them if you explode it at the right time. You can also kind of use it to do a little rocket jump, kind of like the soldier, because if you shoot it at the ground and you like detonate it real quick, it will like launch you up into the air. It does more damage to you. It actually does quite a bit to you. But I mean, as a pyro, you don't take the afterburn damage you would, so it's not so bad, and it can be useful. It kind of depends on the map, though. Some maps it's just better to use the flare gun, I think. Then we're onto the melee. Regular fire axe is just your standard melee weapon. Conscientious objector is just a reskin of it. Standard melee weapon, basically. Sharpened volcano fragment, you can read it. It also, if you hit somebody with it, it also provides the afterburn on them, but you lose 20% straight up damage. So I think it's kind of bad because if you're meleeing somebody, generally you want them just to straight up die, rather than hit them and then wait for the afterburn. You know, kind of annoying because you can already give them afterburn with your flamethrower and then switch to, say, the fire axe and be doing more damage while still having the afterburn. When we have the Backscratcher, which is actually, it's very good actually in Degreaser Keep, because you can't really get healed from medics. So the minus 75% health from healers, I believe that applies to that. I know that applies to medics, and I also think it applies to dispensers. So you do heal a lot more slowly with that, but you gain extra health from health kits, and that's good in Degreaser Keep because there are really only health kits, and the only way you can actually get healed by somebody is, I guess, if a medic hits you with the Crusader's crossbow or the Amputator taunt. And also just to straight up 25% more damage. If your team doesn't have medics or engineers or something, it's like you should use this for sure over the regular axe, but I think there are still better melee options, which I'll get to in a second. There's the Homewrecker, which does more damage against buildings, which is somewhat useless because it's really hard to get close to buildings, like sentries at least. It can be useful for killing teleporters and the dispensers fast, but your flamethrower also kills them pretty quick. Another thing about the flamethrower that I don't think a lot of people know is that the flames go through buildings. So if there's an NG behind us, like a dispenser, and you flame the dispenser, it's going to hit the NG behind it. So that's another benefit of using the flamethrower over the Homewrecker for killing buildings, so you can hit multiple things at once. This minus 25% damage versus players is its only downside. And you can also remove sappers with it, and you remove sappers in one hit, which is pretty good. I mean, if you are having troubles with spies, you can go dedicated spy checking Pyro, because Pyro's really good at spy checking, and you can just use the Homewrecker. Really hard for spies to do anything against a good Pyro with a flamethrower and a Homewrecker. Really hard to do much of anything. Then you have the power eject, which I talked about as part of the gas jockey's gear. You get 75 health when you kill somebody, and the good thing is that can also go into your overheal amount, because you can get overhealed with it, just kind of like if you got overhealed by a medic. So even if you're at full health and you kill somebody with this, you do get that 75 health as overheal, which you can use to, do further stuff. You do take more damage from melee while it's active, so you got to be careful about that. But other than that, it's pretty good. I would say definitely a straight-up improvement over the fire axe, because it's like, even if you take a melee hit with this, if you kill somebody, it's totally worth it. Because, I mean, it's just, you get the 75 health back. I mean, what can I say? Then we have the best. I know I said that Equalizer was probably the best melee weapon in my soldier one, but if there were to be a contender, it would be the Extinguisher and the Postal Pummeler. They're both the same. Postal Pummeler is just a reskin. But the Extinguisher So amazingly good. Okay, I'll read the negatives first. Against non-burning players, it's mighty 50% damage, and you can't get critical hits. So against non-burning players, it's kind of shitty, because you'll be hitting for like maybe 30, 40 some damage, and it's kind of just like, you'd be better off just lighting people on fire. But what you'd be even better off doing is letting people on fire, switching to the Extinguisher, and hitting them, because then you get a guaranteed crit, as you can read there, 100% critical hit versus burning players. So amazingly good. And with the Degreaser, it's just absurd, and that's why Degreaser Extinguisher is the best set combo in general, and I don't care what anybody says. I guess the secondary is debatable, but Degreaser Extinguisher is the combo, because you can flame somebody really quick with the Degreaser, use the fast weapon switch on the Degreaser to switch to the Extinguisher absurdly fast, and just axe somebody. That'll kill everybody other than heavy instantly. And if you actually take the time to flame a heavy for like a good second or two before you switch to the Extinguisher, it'll kill the heavy too. So it's just like absurd. And even if it's like an overhealed heavy, if you're fighting an overhealed heavy who's not paying attention, like he has a medic stuck to him, if you can flame him, 3 Extinguisher hits, he's dead. Dead. And it's just so good. It's just ridiculous how good it is. And you'll see that. I'll try and put a good use to it, but that's basically it. I need to talk about the Phlogistinator and the Manmelter. I don't have them, and I don't really ever want to have them because they both suck. The Manmelter can be good with the backburner, like I said, because the Manmelter essentially lets you. It's basically a flare gun, except the projectiles move a little bit faster. You cannot get random crits with it. Even with somebody's on fire, you don't get the crit. But what you can do is you can right-click with it if you have it out, and it will remove the fire from teammates in front of you, like the airblast. Which is why it's good for the backburner, because you don't want to use the backburner ammo to airblast people all the time. It's not as spammable, so you could use the Manmelter instead to put the fire out. And when you put somebody out with the Manmelter, you get a stored crit, which is pretty good. And it's a lot easier to hit those crits because the projectile is moving faster. So, I mean, even still, I would think the regular flare gun's better, because the flare gun just gives guaranteed crits against people on fire, which is not that hard to light people on fire and then hit them with the flare gun. Yeah, that's basically all I can say about that. The Manmelter can be decent, although I think it's just better to use the flare gun if you like that with either the Degreaser or the flamethrower, so you don't have to spend 50 metal each airblast. Phlogistinator, the reason it's bad is because you lose the airblast, which is the best part about Pyro, is probably the airblast. Airblast is amazing. You should never ever really give it up, because it is what makes the Pyro viable at all. Because the Phlogistinator, you don't have the air blast, but what you do is when you deal fire damage, you build up your oomph meter. And when your oomph meter is full, you can taunt with the Phlogistinator, and you'll get instant crits. It will heal all your health to maximum. You'll gain permanent crits for like 6 seconds or something, or 8 seconds. And while you're taunting, you also have 90% damage resistance like the Dead Ringer. So, I mean, when you do it, you can become a powerhouse for a really short amount of time. But the point is first of all, you have to taunt, which if you're taunting, a lot of people will taunt like in the middle of nowhere, which is dumb, because even though you have 90% damage resistance, you're still extremely vulnerable. You're just standing there, and they can just wait for your taunt to run out, and then like shoot you in the head or something without your 90% damage resistance. It's just, the crits do a lot of damage, but they don't do enough to really make it viable, because it's like, if you want to talk about damage, Degreaser Extinguisher does insane amounts of like just quick damage. Does way more than the Phlogistinator crits. And the problem with the Phlogistinator is when you have it out and you have those crits, it's so easy to take care of Pyros if you're a soldier that have the Phlogistinator. I'm not scared of Pyros with the Phlogistinator if I'm a soldier. If they have crits or not, all it takes is one rocket at their feet, they're popped in the air, they're motionless, and then they're fucked. So you lose your air blast, which is a huge deal for crits. And it's like, if you want to talk about doing damage, you should not pick the Pyro to do damage. If you want to do damage, play a Demo Man or like a Soldier or a Heavy, because those three do tremendously more sustained damage, or I would say even burst damage. And it's more reliable burst damage than an Extinguisher, because if you go within melee range, a lot of shit can happen. A lot of stuff can go wrong if you try to extinguish somebody. But it's just like, Phlogistinator is bad, it's horrible. You will see in the video why that is so, and why the air blast can be such a powerful tool. Ooh, I also need to talk about the third degree for the melee weapon. It's basically the fire axe with no random crits. But if you hit somebody that's getting healed by a medic beam, it hurts whoever's attached by that medic beam. So if you hit a heavy who's getting healed by a medic, you'll also hurt the medic. But the problem is, is that's not going to kill the medic unless he's really low on health. And if he was really low on health, you could probably just shotgun him and kill him as well, or flare gun him or something. And then you have to walk up and melee like a heavy. It's like, are you kidding me? I'm not going to walk up and try and melee a heavy like that, because the heavy's not going to die. I mean, if you try and melee a heavy with the extinguisher while he's on fire, he's going to die pretty fast. Whereas if you're trying to do it with the third degree, it's not happening fast enough, and you're going to die. You'd have to get 3 melee hits, I believe, before you would kill the medic. And it's just not worth it. Like, the only time it'd be worth it is if there was like a bajillion medics healing each other, and then you could hit like 10 people with it at once. Then it could be good, I would think. But it's like, that's not going to happen, really, in any serious game. So, definitely not very good. The entire Christmas Spaceman Pyro set is utter shit. Manmelter is the only one who might be halfway decent. The only one that might be halfway decent. But, so yeah, I guess that's about it. I guess we'll just start up, and I will show you guys why I think those suck and how to play Pyro in general, I think. And you will see why the Extinguisher is beast with the Degreaser. So anyways, I guess we'll just start up with that, and I'll see you guys in a bit.